I'm Moses Price. I created this video to bring a sense of unity and hope to the community.
I remember when I was first on city council years ago, I chaired the housing committee, and I had a report from staff, and they indicated to me that we had 1,500 people waiting for housing in the city of Hartford. I made my business over the course of the next 4 years to build almost 1,600 units. And after I built those 1,600 units, at the next council meeting, I was really proud of myself. I had the housing director give a report on what had occurred with the 1,600 units, and then I looked at my staff and said, how many people are waiting in line now for housing? And they said, 2,500. I said, what? I was surprised. But keep in mind, in Hartford, we have a lot of support services.
Anytime you're building something new, I'm assuming that's good. I would love to see Hartford do. Provide opportunities for young people to learn a trade, the trade in the building trades, where they can go make $30, $40 an hour and go back and build.
We are getting a little break because of the fact that they have the set-aside packages in the city of Hartford. That is the only place that we actually get an opportunity to do work. In the rest of the state of Connecticut, there is something out there for minority contractors, but there's a lot of stuff that they use to hold us back from off those jobs, which is bonding. The city of Hartford provide us a way not to carry a bond on those projects, that the city covers it. But that needs to happen in the state a lot more so that we can get more opportunities. Weaver? Yes. Yes, I have. That's what I'm saying to you. I probably have over $3-something million over at Weaver. How many minority workers was there?
Yeah, with your contract.
With my company? I know I exceed the requirement. I can't remember right at the moment right now, but I know that we exceed the requirement. At Martin Luther King School, I think my percentage over there for hours being done over there is probably about 90% Hartford resident. There's a few minority contractors that was there that had an opportunity to do work. Like I said, Hartford is special.
How was you able to get bonding?
Bonding, you have to put up your blood, your wife, ring, your house, the babies that haven't been born yet. Those are the stuff that they ask in order for you to get a bond, in a sense.
So right now you do have bonding?
Yes, we do have bonding right now. I've been a contractor for probably about 16 years.
And was it hard for you to go out and get a contract?
Yes, it was very hard for us to go out and get a contract. But like I said, what happened in the city of Hartford kind of gave us an opportunity. In the state of Connecticut, it's asking for all the larger firms to meet their minority requirements by subbing work out to minority companies, but that doesn't really happen. They find a way how the loopholes, how to make that not happen in a sense, and so here we are. Right now here, we are building Kaiser. This is a facility for CCSU.
How many people working for you, Mr. Dawkins?
I think this week we have about 32 guys.
How many of those guys are minorities?
I would say probably about 20. It's just a facility for the kids in there at this college to enjoy themselves and actually to train.
And who's doing all this work here?
Lawrence Bernoulli is the general contractor. We are the sub MCM Acoustics. We are subbing all the drywall and all the exterior framing and the acoustical ceilings that we are doing here for him. On Albany Avenue, I always tell the young black guys or Hispanic guys that's walking the street, I'll say, do you know that the guy that's doing that floor right there is making $58 an hour? Mm-hmm. And they're like, what? But at the end of the day, from what I understand, that is a DOT job. It's not a City of Hartford job. So a lot of people think that is the City of Hartford is the one actually performing that work out there, but this is from DOT. So we did sit down with DOT before to find out what was going on, but the time when we got to DOT, we heard it was 2 years ago that DOT actually gave out the contract already. So DOT didn't come back and see us until it was time to do the work.
I live not too far away from Albany Avenue. There's a huge project that's going on Albany Avenue right now, Route 44 project. I barely see anybody working on that project that looks like me. And if they are, I don't even think they live in my community. It's very disappointing. And I'm not the only one that recognizes this. So when I go off camera, I'm gonna let you listen to voice message that was sent to me from one of my colleagues who's also a senator. And they don't even live in Hartford, and they don't represent Hartford or Bloomfield, Windsor, but they were disgusted by when they drive down Albany Avenue and they don't see anybody from that community working on that project. That's over a $40 million project. And that's a project where we can easily have trained.
I fought the state a few years ago to find out, okay, you know what, when my tax dollars is being changed, does my tax dollars goes into a pot for just blacks, or does it goes in a pot for everyone? Which they told me that no, it goes into a pot for everyone. So my question to them was, so why is it only Hartford, New Haven, and Bridgeport was the only one that was accepting minority contractors and minority workers? So I thought the law was passed that all 169 towns has to accept minority contractors and minority workers. From what I understand now, they're telling me that they didn't pass that law.
Whatever happened to affirmative action?
I would never call it affirmative action. I call it affirmative opportunity. I know in Connecticut we have a so-called set-aside amount for contractors, construction is going on, or procurement, whatever the case may be. But the percentage is 25% of 25%, which is 6.25%, and that's for minorities. And minorities include women, white women, and every other ethnic minority. So that's what Connecticut does, and I think that's disgusting. But it won't change unless we do a disparity study. A disparity study will tell you the capacity that minorities have to do work. We haven't had a disparity study in the state of Connecticut for over 20 years.
I do HVAC. I'm an HVAC contractor. There ain't no HVAC contractors out here. I pick young guys off the street and bring them to my trade. They don't even know what it is. They lost.
We help them establish their business, obtain their business tax ID number, register their business with the state. Once they're registered, we make sure that they have their liability insurance, make sure they're credentialed.
I don't been through that. I don't went through all that system, all that programming. It's not working.
The way out of the revolving door is construction. It worked for me. My inmate number is 225278. I did 3 years, and when I got out, I went to the construction trade. I could read a tape measure, and that's pretty much all I needed to be able to be competent and to be able to the will to get to work every day and do what I had to do to learn to better myself and my community.
What is lacking of minority contractors?
Bonding and capital.
Now, do you have bonding?
No, I don't have bonding right now. It's something that I'm working on. It's always a challenge, is working capital and bonding, and it's kind of the mistakes we made, and it's just information. We didn't know what we didn't know, so now that's what I'm trying to help, is to help the younger brothers coming up, the MCC, HEDCO, SAMA, a lot of these different, the Better Business Bureau. These guys are actually helping teach the contractors coming up.
Programs for guys like this guy is a builder. He's a carpenter. Give him a grant where he can open up a building and show teens and young youth how to build houses from the ground up.
There's a lot of programs out there. The one that I came in through was the Hartford Job Funnel. It was called Yo Hartford, or the Hartford Job Funnel. It was run by a young lady, Yolanda Rivera. And she was integrating people back. Like some guys, they don't even know how to read a tape measure. But if you break it down to them, like, listen, if you get a package, half, quarter, what I mean? You explain it to them like that, and then look at the tape measure, it starts to make sense. You just have to talk to them the way they understand.
The programs that we have a program, but also HEDCO has a program. DECD also has a program to help with that.
I don't see them try programs. These dudes get on the corners, they're ex-drug dealers, whatever they want to be, turn minister, get on the corner, start preaching about. No, you really want to stop this? Get that government money, get them programs, give us that money, and watch us build and change this community.
Right now I'm a sub, so my insurance is enough to keep me underneath somebody as a sub. So anything I do, that guy, he gets a piece of it. But if I could get bonding, then I could be the guy at the top instead of being the guy underneath him. He has bonding, so that's why he's at the top and he eats off of me. But if I could get bonding, I could go after the whole job And I could sub him out. I could sub Manafort out. I could sub O&G out. I could sub, hey, you guys want to come pour the concrete for me? And then I could make money off of them instead of them making money off of me.
Yeah, but you had a record, so how was you able to do that?
Well, you got to show me a construction guy that doesn't have a record. You know, most of them do. You know, it's not something that's going to hold you back. Construction is more that trade that what you do is better than who you are, and how you put out what your drive is better than what you did in the past.
The Minority Construction Council membership consists of ethnic minorities from across the state. Also, they are subcontractors who may be your electricians, your plumbers, your carpenters. They may come from open shop organizations as well as union shops.
Minorities getting a fair shake in the contracts.
No, but what's lacking is, right now is in the state of Connecticut, everyone's lumped together. We need this disparity study so that everyone can receive their fair share. So women-owned businesses can receive their fair share of the contract. Ethnic minority-owned businesses can receive theirs, veterans can receive theirs, and so forth.
Where's the money at? Who and why? We don't know anything about it. Where do we go? We go downtown to City Hall, all right, and we ask, is there any set-aside money for minority contractors, and how can we get that money?
Just some people don't have the patience, and we're trying to get that out there where people like me, who have been through it, can sit down with people and help them get back into society. And I believe construction is the #1 way to do it, you know, because you don't need no college degree. I'm a high school dropout. My inmate number is 225278. I'm an ex-con. You know, so it can happen. My company does very well for itself. We've been in business for 10 years. And now I'm an active member of my church. You know, I play golf 3 times a week. It can happen. You can change, you know what I mean? You just got to want it. I own Kelly Steel. We've been on projects like the Dunkin' Donuts ballpark. We helped build that. The Bone and Joint Hospital, all the hospitals up at UConn Med. Pretty much a lot of the structures that you see in Hartford right now, we had a part to play in building them.
This is my true believing, that if you were to have, or someone was to have a meeting asking the black contractors to come out to that special meeting for funding and get involved with all the construction and contracts that's going on around the city of Hartford, that you will see a great outcome. If we can direct them where they can get that funds to upgrade, to get bonded, insured, and get out here and get some of this money and put economic development to work.
Right now, we're partnering with one of our corporate members, which is Turner Construction, to put on a 7-series construction management class to help minority contractors learn what they need to so that they can be successful on the project.
So I think that there needs to be some reconstruction and some stronger advocacy for civil rights because it's kind of lost its meaning and purpose in the melee of things that people are talking about now. You hear so many things that are counter to what civil rights legislation was intended to do, which was intended to help move all of us into the future.
And the NAACP is still fighting. Every day we get complaints from people who are being discriminated against at work, at their jobs. They're being passed over for promotions. They're being denied jobs in favor of someone else who is not African American because they want to reserve these jobs for their own people. And we end up fighting for those people, and we won a number of those fights.
Contractor like myself that would hire minorities is not the one getting the job. The larger firms are the one getting the jobs, and they only utilize the minorities for the requirement that they need, and as soon as they meet their requirement, they're able to lay them off. My advice to a contractor, if they want to be a minority contractor or a contractor in the state, is just to make sure they have all their ducks in a row, have some finance that can keep you going until the state pays you.
Is there a small businessman loan I can borrow this money from?
No, they said that there is, like, you know, HEDCO. I love HEDCO to death, but at the end of the day, HEDCO could only let you borrow $100,000. So right now, all the state contracts has HEDCO name in there for a loan for small and minority business, but at the end of the day, HEDCO can only lend you up to $100,000. Like I said, if my payroll is $80,000 per week, that 1 week's worth of money that they will give me would be gone. So there is no way around here that would give you line of credit that what they would give to somebody else.
Will they lend them enough money, or will they just lend them enough money to go out backwards? That's the answer to that. They will lend, but they won't lend enough.
Was there any minority contractors involved into building this stadium?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. One of the things that I did personally when I was on council, I came down and did a spot inspection with procurement services in the city of Hartford. I wanted to make sure we did some announcements and say we're going to come down and just kind of check on a daily basis to see if minority contractors have been hired and how many minority workers have been working and how many Hartford residents are working. And then there were quite a few women that were working from Hartford. You may not have seen them all the time, but during heavy construction, they were there. I know of a couple minority contractors that were subcontractors. There was I don't want to give the name of the company, but there was a company that was doing the iron work. Iron workers were here. They're a minority ironwork company based out of the city of Hartford. They've been here.
The ballpark, actually there were 300 people that had already been interviewed right on Albany Avenue at the YMCA, and those 300 people had already been hired to work when the work on the ballpark was stopped. So we're talking about an economic development project that will continue to provide jobs in our community. They may not be the highest paying jobs, but they are jobs so that our young people and our seniors can go to work and earn some extra money and become a part of the economic development that's going on in this city.
What we're trying to do is create a sense where people will come into the city, but more importantly, other folks out there with money, private capital, will say to themselves, gee, Hartford is the place to invest in. Now I can figure out a return on my investment, because private investors won't invest in the city if they think the city is going nowhere, if they think the city has no vision. So we're trying to attract more private capital. The more private capital we attract, the more jobs we will create. We built a stadium and we extended a 25-year lease to the Yard Goats baseball team. The first 15 years, they pay us $500,000 a year. After 15 years, they pay us $600,000 a year. Now, keep in mind, as we speak, for the most part, no public taxpayers' money has been used to build the stadium. We floated what is called revenue bonds. We're out on Wall Street, we issue revenue bonds, and investors came in and bought the revenue bonds. We have not used taxpayers' money to build the stadium.
And I think we have a home run standing behind us. I truly believe that. It cost me my seat on council because I was one of the ones that was in favor of the stadium. I still stand behind the stadium and what the stadium can bring.
We have to say to the Aetnas, to the Travelers, to United Technologies, the Pratt & Whitneys, what kind of jobs do you need for the future? And once we understand what jobs they need for the future, we have to begin to train the workforce, because they will tell you, all the big companies around this area, they don't have enough people. They don't have enough people. Now, if they don't have enough people, we have the people. But our people, many of them, may not have the training. So what we need to do is make sure we provide the training so they can get those great jobs at Aetna, Travelers, at Pratt & Whitney, and places like that.
I also just finished working with the Nation of Islam to put together a training program. We graduated 17 people that are trained to go forward and train our young people to become mathematicians. We have to take control of our own education. We must take control of the jobs that we bring into our communities, and we must work together to do this. But our children cannot go anywhere without knowing how to do math and knowing how to read and write. And we have the lowest, our children are at 12.7% proficiency rate in math. That's 12% out of 100. So if you took a math test, you got a 12. That's what our educational system right now is putting out relative to our children.
Now that's the question you should have. You have to look at research. You have to look at school districts. Like Hartford is a very poor city. It is the poorest city in the state of Connecticut. So what we need to do is look at other school districts similar to Hartford that have higher levels of achievement and see what they're doing right. And we should duplicate what they're doing right in our own school districts.
There are dedicated educators in Hartford, black, white, and Puerto Rican. We got to stop blaming. The blame game has to stop. My teachers, and everything being relevant, who were white and black, my teachers were committed to educating me.
And so they're getting some really nice buildings made. But the question is, are they getting an education, which in its root, a Latin word meaning to set free from bondage? Well, I think that could be debated. We need an education that not only reflects the people of Hartford, but also gives us the ability to break out of the current conditions that we are living in. And so when we talk about not having jobs and poor housing and really the breakdown of the family, it all starts with the breakdown of education. So we need, first of all, a knowledge of self that helps us to come up out of this condition.
All my children graduated and went to college out of Hartford schools. Okay, they didn't go to private schools. They didn't go to none of these other schools. They come out of Hartford schools. My daughter, she graduated out of Hartford High, went and served in the Air Force for 23 years. I had another daughter graduate out of Hartford High. She went in the Army and served 20 years, okay? And now they are back still working in the city. And I have grandchildren. And I know what the problem is right now. They're using these teachers that's coming out of college, don't know nothing about the community. And that's why, if anybody's saying their children not learning, I see a lot of smart kids. I think my grandchildren is smart. But it's the idea that we've got to change teachers. We got to bring in more minority teachers. We got to bring in more Spanish teachers. We just can't have these teachers coming from college, coming here, don't know nothing about us, don't have no children of their own, because you know why I'm saying this? Because I've already went through it.
I went to Hartford Public High School first, Hartford Public High School. I graduated from there, then I went to Prince Tech as a postgraduate for plumbing. But my brother always told me the pipes were dirty, so I stopped and I became a carpenter. So I've been in the Carpenters Union, got into the Carpenters Union in 1993, and here I am as a contractor.
I worked in the Hartford Public Schools for 18 years as a teacher myself and then administrator. Created an outstanding program for middle school young men called the Benjamin Mays, most successful academic program in the history of Hartford, the history of the state of Connecticut. Unfortunately, it wasn't supported at the local level or the state level, so therefore that's why I ran for office. So academically, Connecticut has the largest, some people call it achievement gap, I call it opportunity gap between its children of color and its white students. And it's been that way since we've been counting over 30 years, and it hasn't gotten much better within the last 30 years. Recent building projects that are underway, Weaver High School and Martin Luther King. Within the last 10 years, I'll say we probably did a number of schools, probably up to 8 or 9, maybe even 10 schools in Hartford.
Right here in the Enterprise Zone, but how many people know about the Enterprise Zone? Not many anymore. We're not concerned because the Enterprise Zone has not done what they're supposed to have done for people that wanted to get into business. They made it so hard on paper. They don't give us the people, the resources, or the help.
This is probably one of the only black-owned plazas still in Hartford. This is owned by a black person, Yvonne Alexander. We actually have a profound selection of books and stuff like that on hand that they really don't sell or present in regular libraries, and it's better to have them in the archives anyway. So it's a juice bar in the store. We sell oils, soaps, lotions, anything that has to do with the body. You know, we try to get your mind, the body, the spirit right. That's what True Books is all about. Community is coming together in unity. And that right there is missing. It has been missing a long time. What we have some elders, we have some youth, and no middle ground. Because then nobody's coming together to present ideas and be creative and then have certain things going on in our community. So I think the community is actually, it's been in demise for years. It's not really building it up. It's not really growing. And you might see some buildings or something being erected or different buildings and stuff being worked on and stuff like that. But as a whole, the community itself is not growing. Definitely not. You know, and our children, music and arts, that's our children live for.
I was one of the person that was homeless too. I was homeless before too. That's why I'm able to be able to do the things that I'm doing now. I'm not ashamed to tell it because we all go through our struggles. I do body painting. You know, I do a lot of performing arts production, which I was in the Ridge play. I was the visual artist, the director of visual artists for the Ridge play with Darlene Brandon, my peak production. And I also did the summer camp program, helping kids build a mill. We did Waverly Park Mill at the baseball field 3 years ago. We also did Salvation Army Mill on Barber Street. And that's pretty much what I do.
Are you getting paid? Is there funding for you for this?
Yes. The name of the mill is Rebirth Our Community. The reason why I chose Rebirth Our Community is because to let people know that
everybody want to do beats, they want to rap, they want to do poetry.
My name is PUP. PUP, everybody actually calls me Pup, but PUP stands for Pain United with Passion.
Well, can you give us 10 seconds worth of a little rap?
Well, I blame all the killers who killing off all the leaders. It's time for revolution, but nobody here to lead us. Well, I blame myself. I blame myself. Because who the one who fell for all this? Myself. So who the one who made the mistakes? Myself. Every risk, all you got is to blame yourself.
A lot of black people, we need to re-educate ourselves on how to legit start spending our money other places, spend our money in the community until we build it up.
It's the city of Hartford who does not help promote our neighborhoods or our neighborhood businesses. You have downtown and you have the state saying, okay, we have monies to lend to small business, and they make you go through 4 years of college paperwork in order to attempt to be able to qualify, but more importantly, with stipulations that just go far and beyond.
We have a barbershop that just opened up, which was a lovely barbershop down the street, had all the facilities of 15 chairs, but doing the right demographics is the key.
Because we are inside of It's a G thing, a lot of people don't know that we do the training, because I haven't really been marketing the training in such a manner to attract a lot of people, because one, we don't have financial aid. But then when we get to the point in which the funding is supposed to come, for whatever reason, the funding doesn't happen. And so we fall to the wayside. And then I have a bunch of young men who have prepared themselves and who are eagerly awaiting to take advantage of the training opportunities. I have to tell them that the funding hasn't come through. Training happens where you have an individual, young man who's interested, and in the past I've just trained them. And barbers, when an individual walks into the barbershop, no one asks a barber for his resume, or if he's been to jail, or if he's ever been on drugs, if he's ever been an alcoholic. All they want to know is, can you cut hair? So barbering has been a vessel by which individuals can find true financial freedom that will allow them to grow to the next level. So in 2010, I received authorization from the state of Connecticut's health department and the Office of Higher Education to teach barbering and cosmetology, which contains aesthetics and nails and so forth. But I'm looking to move into education. And what I mean by education, I want to give individuals in the community an opportunity to learn the art of barbering, the art of cosmetology. With my training credentials, I now have the capacity to not only train an individual, but put them in a position in which they can go to the National Testing Agency, Prometrics, and take a test that will allow them to become licensed not only in the state of Connecticut, but through the Prometric testing, they can go to other states and their training would still be good. I have over a dozen guys who I've trained or have worked with me who own barbershops, and they're all looking for barbers. So there are a lot of great opportunities out there for you.
I'm a 26-year business owner here from the city of Hartford. I grew up here. I know the climate here, and I have helped educate the children of Hartford for the last 12 years with an AMP program. Affecting New Thought Business Concepts has been my highlight of my career. I've been in retail, like I said, 26 years. However, 12, 13 years ago, I realized that I was one of the only African-American youth in the neighborhood that owned a business. But when you have no economic source or economic influence, you have no say in the economic flow, and that's what I'm finding happening going on here in Hartford.
I've came up with an idea before about the blighted houses in the city of Hartford and how to give young people opportunity that I didn't have at the age of 18 to 25 years old. My plan was to get the blighted houses in the city of Hartford and put a training program together and train the youth in a trade. A carpenter really in the union or from the state is making $60 an hour. Electrician is making $75 an hour. So how can we get our own youths in the city of Hartford to learn this trade so that we don't have to keep bringing people from Massachusetts and New York into Connecticut to take away this money?
I know for a fact there's a lot of programs, but hey, you gotta want it. Like I said, you gotta go out there and take it. Ain't nobody giving you nothing. Never give up. Never give up.
The people that live here, the elected officials, the voters, the elected officials, we need to stand behind making sure that our people go to work.
Put our community back out here to work.
I hope that this video brought some type of awareness to the community.